Ladies and gentlemen, I could not be more excited about this announcement. We are launching flogfantasy.com. On flogfantasy.com, we have all of your favorite creators coming together. We have Fantasy Stock Exchange, Dynasty Land Football, Fantasy Endgame, and yours truly. We are all partnering with our rankings, both Superflex, one quarterback, overall Dynasty startups, rookie drafts, best ball, whatever you're looking for. We have exclusive articles, everybody exclusive videos, exclusive live streams. We have a Discord chat with everybody in it. This is the best thing that I think has happened to the fantasy football industry in quite some time. When you sign up to flogfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get 30% off any subscription. And with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get yours truly breaking down your Dynasty fantasy football team in a podcast. I couldn't be more excited about this. We have worked so long to bring it to you, and I really hope you like it half as much as I do. But I think that should be about it. Make sure you're dropping a like on this video because it is so damn special. Subscribe to the channel if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And let's get right in here. And let's start it off. Bijan Robinson, Tier 1. There's nothing to talk about. I mean, it's a 3-down running back that's hyper athletic, a 3-down running back that can catch the ball better than almost anybody else in the class, a 3-down running back that's going to be selected in the first round of the NFL draft. He checks every box. He's in his own tier. I don't feel like we need to talk about this. Going down to Tier 2, though, this is where it gets interesting. We are going to have Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson all here together. Now, if you go to flogfantasy.com right now and you pull up my Superflex rankings, you will see this list. You will see that, yes, I have Bryce Young. Yes, I have CJ Stroud slightly ahead of Anthony Richardson. Richardson's right there. He belongs in the same tier. And even in a one quarterback league, I would say that Anthony Richardson should be over these guys. If you go look at my one quarterback Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings on flogfantasy.com, promo code FLOCK, you will see that we actually have Anthony Richardson as the #1 overall quarterback, because I will be honest, if you're looking at the rushing upside of an Anthony Richardson, I would say that his ceiling from a fantasy football perspective is higher than Bryce Young's, is higher than CJ Stroud's. But based on where NFL talent evaluators are currently ranking these guys and what we're seeing in mock drafts, I believe that we have a little more security with both Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, with them both potentially being the #1 overall draft pick, where I don't see that same possibility for Anthony Richardson. So from a super flex perspective, I'm going to give the slight edge to the guys that may have a slightly higher floor, even if their ceiling is going to be slightly capped in comparison. But in Superflex, it's just generally more difficult to find that starting quarterback. So Superflex, give me the guys with the floor. One quarterback, give me Anthony Richardson, the guy with the ceiling. Now let's go down to our next tier. I'm going to go with another quarterback here, okay? Will Levis does not look like he is in consideration with Young, Stroud, Richardson post-NFL Combine. I still think Will Levis will be a top 10 NFL draft pick. I still think Will Levis should be a day one NFL starter. By day one, probably the poor choice of words. He will start at some point his rookie season, and he has rushing upside. Now, no, he's not the same athlete as Anthony Richardson. No, he didn't have as many rushing yards per game as Richardson did as a sophomore. But with Will Levis, he can still go out there and he can still possibly average 30, 40 rushing yards on a per game basis if he hits his top 20th percentile outcome. So we know he has some rushing upside, even if it's not to the same extent of an Anthony Richardson. And based on where it looks like he is currently going to be going in the NFL draft, I'm comfortable saying that he will be a year one starter at some point. And that is the profile of someone that I am wanting to invest into in a super flex league. So very excited about all these quarterbacks. Tweeted out a while ago that I think this draft class is Bijan Robinson, then a bunch of QBs. Obviously, that's in Superflex, though. If you're going to the site, flogfantasy.com, using promo code FLOCK, you'll see we have our one quarterback rankings up there as well. Of course, these guys are going to be much lower. But now going over to 6, I'm going to be putting Jackson Smith and Jigba here. Obviously, a wide receiver that didn't run his 40-yard dash because he was going to run it slow. Okay, he is going to be slow at his pro day as well. Prepare yourself for that. But as I've talked about time and time again, speed does not matter that much at the wide receiver position. Speed will matter in very specific scenarios if we are looking at minimum thresholds, whereas we're saying, okay, this player really can't run slower than a 4.60. If he's running slower than a 4.60, it's going to be difficult for him to find success, and maybe he turns into David Bell last year. Or if he's going to be a field stretching wide receiver, speed actually does matter. If you're going to be a wide receiver that won with your verticality in college, and you had an extremely high yards per reception, we're looking at James Washington, we're looking at Dyami Brown. When you then go to the NFL Combine and you show, hell, you're not that fast, that is going to be a serious issue. You can't win with the deep ball in particular if you don't have speed at the NFL level. But outside of those two scenarios, and also if you are extremely light, we'll get to that a little later on in this video, speed doesn't matter too much at wide receiver. JSN will be a wide receiver operating underneath. He'll be soaking up volume. He'll be similar to an Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you shouldn't be worrying about his 40-yard dash time too much. I'm just so impressed by what he did at Ohio State as a sophomore. Now at 7, I'm going to be going with Jahmyr Gibbs. With Gibbs, there are some real concerning things. With Gibbs, he is a smaller running back, doesn't weigh 200 pounds. And if we're going to go through and look at all the running backs that people try to compare Jahmyr Gibbs to, I mean, you've heard the comparison to Alvin Kamara. You've heard the comparison to Aaron Jones. You've heard the comparison to maybe Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne. All those running backs that are great pass catchers and can also see touches in the red zone that make them elite fantasy options. If we're going to be looking at their size at the NFL Combine, Alvin Kamara weighed 214. Aaron Jones, 208. Travis Etienne, 215. DeAndre Swift, 212. Tony Pollard, 210. People are having to go all the way back to 2008 to say, oh, okay, Mason, you're looking at the wrong batch of guys. Don't look at anybody in recent memory. You're going to have to go back to 2008, 15 years ago, and we're going to have to look at Jamal Charles to try to find some outlier to compare Jahmyr Gibbs to and saying he's going to be a Hall of Fame level. No, okay? Don't try to chase outliers. Jahmyr Gibbs is still elite in a few categories. He is an elite level athlete. And with Jahmyr Gibbs, he is a phenomenal pass catcher. For that reason, he is still a mid-first round rookie pick for me. For that reason, he is still someone I can be excited about in a full PPR league, but he has his very real strengths and very real concerns. To go along with his size issue, this is a running back that never really saw carries inside the 5-yard line in college. Didn't matter what school he was at. They didn't use him at the goal line. Now, dropping down to our next here, we're going to go Quentin Johnston at 8. Yes, Johnston's going to be jumping Jordan Addison. Johnston goes to the combines a little bit smaller than we expected. Who the hell cares? We know that the sizes these teams report are meaningless. I really don't even look at them until we get to the NFL Combine. And if we're going to be looking at Johnston, the man broke out as a freshman and pretty much had a 30% market share number every single season of his career at TCU. So he was productive. Given his team's context, he was productive at an early age. He declares early for the NFL draft, and he's probably going to be a first-round pick. He checks a ton of the boxes that we look at. I mean, I don't see the same ceiling as what you have with the JSN, but I still think he's an incredible player. Now, going over to 9, I'm going to have Jordan Addison. Now, obviously, we had Jordan Addison higher than this before the NFL Combine, but now that we have confirmation that the man is very, very small, I'm going to be quick to go through and move Jordan Addison down these rankings. I mean, we went through and we highlighted this in a video in depth, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But wide receivers since 2014 to weigh less than 180 pounds, which Addison weighed 173, to crack a top 24 finish on a points per game basis, you have Devonta Smith, who was one of the best collegiate wide receivers of all time, way better than Jordan Addison ever was. John Brown, field-stretching wide receiver who ran like a 4.32. Deshaun Jackson, the best field-stretching wide receiver maybe ever in NFL history. And then Hollywood Brown, someone else who ran like a 4.27 at his pro day. Okay, so if you were going to be extremely light and you're going to be one of the 4 players to be able to be a top 24 wide receiver since 2014, you probably either have to have elite speed, which Jordan Addison doesn't, or you probably have to be an elite player in general, like Devonta Smith. I still think Addison has some very strong things on his profile. Phenomenal sophomore season, broke out as a freshman, will probably be a first-round NFL draft pick. And to go along with this, the man declared early. So he checks a lot of the boxes that we look for. But the size speed combo is why we are going to be moving him down a tier where he's no longer, in my mind, in consideration to be taking over Quentin Johnston. Now, at 10, we're going to be going Zach Charbonnet. Very interested to see where the landing spot is. Very interested to see where the NFL draft capital is, to see what kind of opportunity he may have year one. He's a big-bodied running back that's not an elite athlete, but he's athletic enough and he can catch the ball. So you're telling me we have size to handle a 3-down workload, we have the passing down ability to not have to come off the field on third downs, and he's not a bad athlete. Sign me up for a player like that. I think he's worth a first. Now, going down to our next spot, we have Zay Flowers at 11. Flowers, I don't want to say he's a boring player in my mind. He stays all 4 years, smaller school, never is dominant, but he does improve every single season. Breaks out as a sophomore. He's probably going to be a late round 1, early round 2 NFL draft pick. He's a little undersized. Just boring. I don't feel like we have too much to talk about. Like he, in my mind, doesn't have any elite traits with his profile, like where you're looking at Jordan Addison with some elite traits. But at the same time, he doesn't have some red flags with his profiles that some of these other guys have. Just boring to talk about. Now, 12-13, we're going to have a couple other smaller wide receivers. We're going to have Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs. In my mind, Hyatt will be a round 1 NFL draft pick given his deep field ability, given the fact that he will stretch NFL defenses. Josh Downs may be going in round 3 of the NFL draft. If Josh Downs goes round 2 of the NFL draft, at that point, I'd be willing to move Downs up. I see Downs getting more volume at the next level compared to Hyatt, where Hyatt may provide more real-life value, where Downs provides more fantasy football value, given the difference between field stretching ability and the ability to command volume. I have to move Downs down just a little bit. We knew he was going to be small coming into the NFL Combine. I was setting up a pair that hopefully he could come in like 177, 178. Hyatt's small too, remember. But if we're going back to those outliers that have actually been able to produce while being very undersized at the wide receiver position, it's the fast guys. It's John Brown. It's Deshaun Jackson. It's Hollywood Brown. And Josh Downs isn't that. Now, going down to our next tier, we're going to have a couple tight ends here. We have Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer. Not too much to discuss. I think that they're very good tight end prospects, but as we say every single year, going back to when I was telling people to take Trey Lance over Kyle Pitts in Dynasty rookie drafts, you shouldn't be going through and ever getting too excited to select a rookie tight end, because even when everything goes perfectly, that player isn't necessarily guaranteed to go out there and increase their dynasty value dramatically. Like if you look at Pat Freiermuth isn't that much more valuable than he was his rookie season. And Freiermuth has had one of the best 1-2 year combos that we've seen from a rookie and sophomore tight end in a very, very long time. So I like the prospects. Just don't draft a rookie tight end. Now, 16, we have Sean Tucker. Goes to the combine, shows that he may actually have the size to be a 3-down back at the NFL level. I don't expect him to ever be Ezekiel Elliott, of course, but maybe with this receiving down skill set, with his athleticism, this could be a running back that is a poor man's version, a very, 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 very poor man's version of someone like DeAndre Swift. I actually kind of like the idea of taking Sean Tucker in the middle of round 2 with the upside floor combination than maybe I would Jahmyr Gibbs as a top 5 pick. Now, going over to our next tier, we're going to go with Hendon Hooker, 17. With Hooker, I have no idea if he's going to be a good real-life quarterback. I can't evaluate these quarterbacks. You can't evaluate these quarterbacks. Nobody can really evaluate these quarterbacks from a real-life NFL perspective. The only thing I can do is say, okay, well, what is the situation they're stepping into? And if they have the draft capital to be a starter, can they score a ton of fantasy points on the ground? Hooker's probably going to be a second, third round NFL draft pick. Not guaranteed to ever be an NFL starter, but if he were to start at the NFL level, I think we can safely say, well, at the end of the day, this is going to be a quarterback that provides you so much rushing upside that you probably just want to go through and you probably want to get as much of him as you can in super flex. Because if he does start for an NFL team, his rushing upside's there to start for your fantasy team. Now, 18, we're going to go Roschon Johnson. I mean, Hookah Lawrence, running back that I'm very biased for. I mean, he has the size. He was a decent enough athlete at the combine. I mean, he was able to catch the ball good at times at Texas. But of course, keep in mind that this is a running back that had to split a backfield with Bijan Robinson. So his college target share numbers are going to be a little bit skewed. It's difficult to get too in the weeds with that. I think he is big enough to be a 3-down back, and there's an outside chance that he's talented enough to do so. We'll see. I'm really hoping he goes round 3. Now, Devin Achane's going to be our next guy at 19. Another player that we knew was going to be small going into the NFL Combine, but now that we have confirmation of exactly how small he is, I don't know if we see the same level ceiling as we would maybe have with like a Sean Tucker, where Tucker, at least at the collegiate level, was able to go out there and he was able to handle a 3-down workload. Achane weighs 188 pounds. Go find a running back that weighs sub 190 that has ever posted a running back 1 finish. It's almost impossible. Like, please, please, please do that job. Hunt it down for me. Come and give me a list of 5 names over the past 20 years, and I'll reevaluate this ranking. But he's a running back that just has no shot to ever be a 3-down player. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to go Marvin Mims and Kayshon Boutte at 2021. Very similar wide receivers in my mind. They were Debbie darlings. I mean, after their freshman and sophomore seasons, people were so excited about these guys. They had all the pedigree going into the world at OU and LSU. Mims actually had the better NFL combine between the two of them, where obviously Boutte, I mean, had probably the worst combine out of anybody, I think, if you would ask at least Dynasty Twitter. So Kayshon Boutte having to fall dramatically. I'd imagine that at this point, he is a candidate to be going day 3 of the NFL draft. Maybe it's the ankle injury that messed him up. But now our next guy, Darnell Washington, a tight end that just dominated the NFL Combine. A tight end that I think people are going to get probably a little too excited about, just because, going back to what we were saying previously, even if you go out there and hit on Pat Frymuth, and he has one of the best rookie/sophomore seasons we've seen over the past 6 seasons from a tight end that young, he's still only worth a 2nd-round rookie pick. Go try to sell Pat Frymuth for a 1st. You can't do it. So why the hell are we drafting these guys anyway? Now, Rashee Rice is going to be our guy at 23. I mean, another 4-year player. He's dominant near the end. Small school. Not too much to see. In my mind, he's just a worse version of Zay Jones. With our last guy here, Tank Bigsby, a running back that can do a little bit of everything. Debbie Darling, just like Marvin Mims, just like Kayshon Boutte. A running back that has fallen significantly throughout this process. And you know what? The more that I think about this, a running back that probably deserves to be the top of this tier. So actually, let's move him to 20. He should be there, and I'll update this on flockfantasy.com as well. And of course, if you are not a member of flockfantasy.com, go join the flock today. When you use promo code FLOCK, you will get 30% off any subscription. You will get access to all your favorite creators, rankings, articles, videos, live streams. Get in the Discord chat with us, start talking, and also, when you use promo code FLOCK, yours truly will make a podcast breaking down your Dynasty team. But I think that's all I got for you. Thank you again. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope we get to see you with the video tomorrow.